We are less than a week away from the start of a new Texas legislative session, from property taxes to the border to a billion dollar surplus. A lot to talk about with the editor of the Quorum Report, Scott Braddock, who is out of Austin, knows all things Austin politics. So, Scott, thanks for sharing some time with us.
Myra, don't hold me to that. I know everything. Come on, hey, look,
I was going to say, you're not limited to just Austin. I mean,
Right. We do move around the state, but I was going to say Happy New Year to y'all. If 2022 was not for you, in 2023, we'll see. I'm trying to be optimistic.
Oh, yeah, I like that. We'll see. We'll see what happens. And that's what we're looking forward to next Tuesday when we kick off this legislative session. You know, we've seen sessions in the past where there seems to be one issue that takes all the focus, really dominates the session. Do you think that it's shaping up to be something similar this time around?
It may be. And, when a married couple fights about money, it's never that there's too much of it. But at the Capitol, it's going to be the opposite. Like you said, there's going to be so much money in the bank that there will be big arguments about what to do with it exactly. What has been said about that? Well, the governor and the lieutenant governor have said that they would basically like to take about half of this record surplus that we're expected to see, which is going to if you add everything together between general revenue and what's in the state savings account, that's the Economic Stabilization Fund, sometimes called the Rainy Day Fund, it's approaching 45 or 50 billion with a B dollars.
Wow.
And so what to do with that? The governor and lieutenant governor have said, hey, they want to spend at least about half of it on property tax relief. Now, there are some complications with that because it's a little arcane, but the state has a constitutional spending limit, and so they'll have to figure out how to navigate that. But there's not a whole lot of meat on the bone as far as any real proposal to get that done so far. So we'll all be tuned in to see exactly what's going to happen. As far as what happens on Tuesday, pomp and circumstance, it's like, the first day of school, all these folks who haven't seen each other for almost 2 years, and some people who are freshmen who have never been seen before at the Capitol. People will be, getting together, socializing, and very different from 2021 when it was the COVID session, if you will, when there wasn't as much of that. And a lot of the members didn't really get a chance to know each other as much as they will get to this time around, because we'll kind of go back to normal without the social distancing, the masks, and all of that.
Yeah, not nearly the drama that we've been seeing in the nation's capital either over the last few days.
Right.
You talked about no concrete proposals right now, but I mean, there are a lot of people who are at home that's like, I would love property tax relief. I mean, however it comes. I mean, are we talking about something as drastic as cutting a check to taxpayers, to homeowners right now?
It's interesting, Steve. They've talked about that before, but in the 2021 session, there was a proposal to send people $500 checks as sort of a rebate for their property taxes. But because the state doesn't collect property taxes, that's a local thing. It was discovered through the process that if they sent checks to people, that in and of itself would be taxable income. And so that becomes less attractive because of that. There are several things they could do. They could once again raise the homestead exemption, which is a constitutional amendment, which means that 2/3 of the House and Senate would have to sign off on that. So whatever they would come up with on that would have to have the support of not just Republicans in the majority, but also the Democrats in the minority. By the way, that kind of consensus building that's necessary is one of the reasons you won't see the kind of drama that we're seeing in the Capitol in Washington. You won't see the same kind of speaker fight. And look, there are other things they can do. One of the most consequential things that they can do, and you'll remember this, in 2019, the legislature rewrote some of the way that schools are paid for. And they basically, so lawmakers at that time did a lot of work to set us up for what we have now, which is a lot of extra money. And what they would do with that to contain property taxes at the local level, because as you know, the biggest line in your property tax bill is that school district tax for your local ISD. And what they would do is flow billions of dollars through the school funding formulas. And there are probably 5 people on the entire planet who fully understand the school finance system in Texas. I'm not one of them, but I do know this. That when that was done in 2019, about $3 billion was spent to compress taxes locally, basically offering some kind of relief because of the growth in appraisals and because of the growth of Texas as a state. Remember, we still have about 1,000 people moving here every single day. Because of that growth, the cost of offering that same kind of relief to taxpayers will be about $6 to $7 billion, something like that. So that starts to eat into that surplus we're talking about just by doing that.
Let's talk about another topic that we brought up with you last time you were here, the idea of legalized gambling in Texas, or at least in some aspects. Has that gained any momentum since we last spoke?
If anything, it's going in the other direction. You may have seen that Lieutenant Governor Patrick, who, of course, presides over the Texas Senate, and the way the Senate works, one of the ways that it works is that the Lieutenant Governor is kind of like the teacher at the front of the classroom. The senators have to have their hand raised, and they're called on by him to bring up different proposals. He sounds very, he almost sounds against it. He doesn't sound fully against it, but he has said that there's no movement forward on that. And he said that in a recent interview. And so he's kind of throwing cold water on it. So I'm not sure that there's any real momentum for that. And that's on casino gambling specifically, where he was asked about that. On sports betting, which I think we talked about previously on KSAT, there is maybe a chance that the Lieutenant Governor might be open to having some sort of retail locations for sports betting. But apparently, this is according to my reporting, he's not in favor of people being able to do it on their phones. He doesn't want it to be online, which, of course, as you know, for the sports betting companies like DraftKings and Barstool Sports and others, they want folks to be able to do it on their phone online. So that's a point of contention.
Yeah, a lot to watch there. Do you expect any of the drama between the House and the Senate that we've seen in legislatures past?
Oh, yes, that's where it really happens, Steve. Because we have a Republican majority and have for so long now, for a generation, it's not so much Democrats and Republicans fighting with each other, even though that does happen. But most of the fights at the Capitol end up being the Senate versus the House. And as former Speaker Strauss from San Antonio used to say, if the House and Senate don't agree to do a certain thing, well, then that thing just doesn't happen. So you, again, have to come back to consensus building and putting together a governing coalition when it comes to any of these big proposals we're talking about, if you want them to become Texas law.
Scott Braddock with the Quorum Report, who knows all things Texas politics. How dare I say just Austin, the whole state you're keeping tabs on. So thanks for being here this evening.
Myra, thank you. Good to see you all, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too.
Thanks, Scott.
We'll be right back. Let's take another look outside this evening. We've got some bumped up rain chances to talk about, but also a winner.
Yes.
Thermometer Thursday.
Yeah, big time.
And those bumped up rain chances come with a bit of a caveat, which we'll be getting into in a moment. First, let's get the excitement out here. Thermometer winner today is Rose Payne of San Antonio. Congratulations. You can go to ksat.com/thermometer to enter the drawing. And coming up, we'll talk about that caveat that comes with our boosted rain chances and a special thermometer Christmas in just a bit. Yeah.
All right, we are talking about the potential for rain, just not a lot of it, unfortunately.
With an asterisk.
Yeah.
Asterisk, yes, big time here, right? Exactly. And that's the reality of it right now, unfortunately. This La Nina winter is not doing us any favors. Humidity, it's going to return on Saturday. Remember, it takes that to generate some rain. It's just going to lead to some dampness on Saturday. There is the chance of a few real showers with a weak cold front that moves through in the middle part of the weekend. So let's take a look at those rain chances. Let's get right to it. So we boosted Saturday to 60%. But here's the asterisk and the caveat. It's just widespread or drizzle, sprinkles. We're talking less than 1/10 of an inch. So nothing really consequential or really that beneficial, unfortunately. Definitely not a drought denter. Across the state right now, we're quiet, just some high clouds as we get up into the panhandle. And that's part of the energy that's been coming on shore from the Pacific, still widespread. Lower elevation rain, higher elevation snow out west from that atmospheric river and big wound up low that came ashore. A break in that action tomorrow, but check this out. Another system getting ready, winding up to move in for this upcoming weekend. And our weather is going to be affected a little bit by this pattern, this little dip in the upper level flow. Moving eastward, it's going to help generate a new cold front, and that could give us a few real showers, but for the most part, anticipate just dampness on Saturday. We've been talking about it for days, and now our high resolution models are within range to actually display it here. Low gray clouds, and they're in agreement that we'll have a few spritzes and sprinkles mainly drizzle, reduced visibility, fog, overall dampness, but not much to show for it for a good chunk of the day on Saturday. So we're talking reduced visibility, some wet roads, wet sidewalks, wet trails out there, that nuisance moisture, and a few little blips on the radar screen possibly here and there through about the early afternoon. Then we get into the evening hours and Saturday night, and east of town, we're talking Lavaca County, DeWitt County, Karnes County, and eastward to the Gulf Coast, we could actually have a few showers and thunderstorms develop, but it looks like most of that, if not all of it, will stay just east of San Antonio. Let's talk about the dew points. We had the really dry air around Christmas with that cold snap with dew points below zero. Now they're in the 30s, so dry, but this is even going to be changing. Here's our future cast for the dew point, and this is important for our Saturday weather. Notice tomorrow dew points rise up into the 50s. We get into tomorrow night and especially Saturday morning, dewies are back in the 60s, especially low to mid 60s. So you'll feel some mugginess and stickiness back in the air, but briefly just for Saturday, because that weak cold front we talked about, that sweeps away the moisture for Sunday and then basically all of next week. So one humid day, and that's going to be on Saturday, and that's going to add to that fog, drizzle, and dampness that we're expecting. Tomorrow morning, mid 40s in the hill country, upper 40s elsewhere, 48 around San Antonio and most of the area, 46 as you get up into Bandera and Kerrville, 67 at noon, so warming quickly again, and then 75 for the high temperature. A little bit of fog in the morning, but I think it's going to be brief and for the most part a decent amount of sunshine. Then we climb back into the 70s, 73 Kerrville, Bernie, 75 around San Antonio, up to 78. You get down to Pleasanton and even in Floresville. Looking ahead this weekend, that's our only shot at rain. Now the actual shower and thunderstorm chance is at 30%. That's late Saturday and even lingering into early Sunday. And then Sunday, it may be a little difficult to shake free from the clouds. A little bit cooler at 68, but that's still above average. And then next week, more of the same, more of what we've been experiencing. 40s in the mornings and afternoons in the 70s. Whoo, psh, pooh, psh.
Nice.
Had to add the sound
right
to the
there.
animation there.
Nice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So this past Christmas, just a week or so ago, a little over a week ago, I had the honor to be a part of a very special Christmas surprise.
Shut up! Look back. He signed it! How did you get this? He was emailing him for a long time.
What is it?
It's a thermometer from Adam Caskey, my favorite weather guy.
She loves Adam Caskey.
I love him so much.
I'm so happy, Amanda. I could help you out. So her husband, Patrick, he's been hitting me up a lot. And finally, I had the opportunity to get one ready and had a spare one ready to go. And we worked behind the scenes, behind her back. And he was able to surprise his lovely wife, Amanda, on Thanksgiving. So I'm glad I could be a part of that. And it's not every day I have enough thermometers around where I can do that. I wish I could do it more often, but I'm trying. I'm working as fast as I can. Go to KSAT.com/thermometer to enter the weekly drawing. And welcome Cowboys Air Conditioning and Heating, our new sponsor.
All right.
Helping to make those therms.
Yeah, making it possible. All right, thanks, Adam.
In case you missed it, coming up next.
Here's today's in case you missed it.
It is Thursday, January 5th.
The fiery and fatal crash involving an 18-wheeler on the northeast side. San Antonio police now investigating that wreck.
We do know the driver of the 18-wheeler lost control, causing it to flip on its side and burst into flames. San Antonio police arrived within minutes of the crash. They tell us officers at the scene and witnesses helped rescue the driver. Unfortunately, the passenger was unable to be saved and he died after he became trapped in the wreckage. The medical examiner is currently working to identify that person. Right now, crews are working to clear out this area, and it will be shut down for several hours.
Is some video of an unusual looking fire at Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery going viral online. This is video that was taken Tuesday and shared on TikTok. You can see the flames off in the distance lit up in the form of a circle, it seems, surrounding several headstones. The San Antonio Fire Department tells us they were called to the cemetery Tuesday night for a grass fire. Crews arrived to find 37 headstones affected and about 200 plots in all. Most of the headstones were covered in soot, and according to the San Antonio Fire Department, there did not seem to be any real damage. As for the cause, they believe it was started by a candle that was lit and likely left unattended.
The technology behind self-driving cars now being used to power baby strollers. The Ella Smart Stroller costs $3,300. It uses artificial intelligence to drive itself and brake on its own, but it's meant to provide another set of eyes or hands, not to replace a parent or caregiver.
People still feeling the effects of all those Southwest canceled flights. The airline says reuniting customers with their lost luggage is a top priority.
Yeah, but we're now 5 days into the new year, and some Southwest Airlines passengers still don't have their bags back after the airline's Christmas week meltdown. Southwest telling passengers that it is returning lost luggage with, quote, great urgency, end quote, using FedEx and even competing airlines to try to transport those bags.
In an employee memo obtained by CNN, Southwest CEO Bob Jordan says the airline has, quote, cut the number of bags in half since last Thursday, and we're on track to get the majority, if not all, bags shipped to our customers later this week, end quote.
And now with Southwest, checked bags are insured up to $3,800, but there's a catch. You have to be able to prove what was inside.
Prove?
Yeah.
Who doesn't take a picture of their
Let's just
luggage?
hope they get your lost luggage back to you.
All right, look again at I-35 in Ben Ziegelman. The cleanup from that fiery 18-wheeler wreck, it is still ongoing. We're now 7 hours in since this happened, and you can see that it is still shut down at this hour.
Bit of fog tomorrow morning for the commute, but generally I think a sunny day tomorrow, back into the mid-70s. And then this weekend, Saturday, just a nuisance, dampness and moisture, drizzle, sprinkles, fog, and then a few storms possible at night, but mainly east of town.
All right, thanks, Adam. And thank you for watching the news at 6.
See you on the Night Beat at 10.